Here's a really good but quick way to explain the universal mind. What's happening in the world right now? There's war, there's poverty, there's crime, there's drugs, there's beauty, there's nature, there's waterfalls, there's greatness, there's famine, there's horrible stuff, there's beautiful stuff, right? So, why is that? Because the way we've looked at things, the way we've at one point not shared something, and one person wanted more of it, or didn't like it and didn't want it, and didn't want to allow the other person to have it, or the other thing to have it, or somewhere along the line. We could really try to dive in and get deep, 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 but let's just be people here. People don't necessarily know what they're thinking about at all times, and we know that for sure. I mean, the more you pay attention to what you're thinking about, you'll be like, why am I thinking about some weird thing I saw on the news? Or why am I thinking about something from the past? Or why am I thinking about, a bug or the wilderness or whatever just caught my eye or anything like that? Because you're that easily distracted, and those things build into your mind and become the world around you. So, right now in the world there's war and there's drugs and there's violence and there's whatever, because you've allowed yourself to see that from the beginning of your life. Now, if you could present them in ways where this was an example as a lesson or as a thing to learn about history from, just that, and we didn't keep following out and doing it as different characters out there, different nationalities, whatever you call them, different races, whatever you call them, different characters, okay? Look at it like this. We're different characters, and the universal mind is only playing out the script of what we're putting into it. And because the script we keep reading is the script of the past and the history of people who disagreed and were racist and fought amongst each other and didn't, agree over land and were unsophisticated and, inhumane, why do you think that's happening now? Because we keep teaching it as history like it's something we should remember. It's not. It's something we should forget. Forgive and forget is something we actually need to do in order to move on and be a more conscious, loving, peaceful world. Because we're not going to, we don't have to forget, literally. We have to forgive. That's it. If we can forgive, we don't have to forget, because most of us aren't going to be able to, especially since we've been reminded of it since we were young, and it's been in our lives since we were little. But we let that go. We don't hold on to that anymore. The Spanish Armada, the War of 1812, World War I and II, the French and Indian War, the Battle of Gettysburg, all the wars in every other country, all the wars that have ever been between man and nature, or nature and some other species, or an intergalactic race, those things have all happened, and people may not get that, so I'm not going to go there, because what's really weird is the more intelligent you become, the more you understand of more intelligent life. And that's where it gets intense. And people don't understand that at all, so I don't bring it up. What's the point of bringing up things that people less intelligent can't understand? And when I say intelligent, I'm not talking smart. You know a whole bunch of stuff I don't know. You've read a bunch of books I haven't read, and if I really wanted to, I could probably look into the mind of the author who wrote it and see and remember writing the book. But I don't want to understand things like that. I want life to be complete and fun and spontaneous and a wondrous mystery. And when this all happened, I went to the place you go when you die. And I basically set up my own rules to come back and live within. And your own rules aren't something so great like, yeah, I'm going to go back and be a millionaire. No, I didn't want that. Because I didn't want to be spoiled and rotten and people get overcome with power. I wanted to have people have an effect on people, but only after a certain amount believed in me. I don't want to have the ability to have any special powers, because I don't want to get angry and use them against anyone. And I only want the ability to have special powers when I know deep down in myself that I would never harm anybody no matter what. And that's all to come along with after a certain amount of people believe in me. And I know that all is true because I've seen the abilities that I have already, but I'm not allowed to unlock them until a certain point, because I set that up for myself in my own mind, with God, with Source, with Universe, with the Divine, and those are all there. And people don't think it's weird for a pretty girl named, what's her name? Grouse. Josie Grouse. She's awesome. She's pretty and she's really spellbinding and she has all these spells, and that's just one little piece of what's going on. That's like the fairy tale part. That's like the Wiccan or the pagan or the witch or the spiritual or the, you go along with the chakra stones, or you go along with the ancient ruins, or you go along with folklore, or you go along with mythology, or you go along with all the Gaelic stories, or the Irish backgrounds, or there's so many stories, and people are entitled to believe in them. But the problem is they only believe in one, maybe two or three, and they may give credit to the other ones. Oh, I've heard of those, but those aren't real. I don't know anything about them. I've never read them. But yeah, sure, that's there. Read them, understand them, and realize that they all say more or less the same thing. There's nothing that's all-inclusive, You think yoga makes it seem like they're all-inclusive because they have the bardos. Well, they don't really explain them all that well. They try to, and they put numbers to them because we have to. And by doing that, if people believe that, then that happens to those people. They have to understand that that's what's happening. In a spiritual, physical form, if you believe something, it happens. And when I say believe, it means to the point where you don't even know you believe it. It's just happening because you're doing it. You're here because you just believe it, beyond belief. Even if you're like, I'm not here, you're still here because you believe it. In a physical sense, duh, right? You're right here. And if you're listening to this at this moment and hearing these words, you're like, duh, yeah, I'm here. But at the same time, you're everywhere. You're just at a location. And that's where it gets weird. It's really weird. Until you let go of all your attitudes and all your whatever, and you really close your eyes and lock in, you can become it all. You do become it all. You are it all. That's the weirdest thing. The memories in your mind, all the cells in your body are just updates of every moment of time. Because time is the vehicle that we're expressing ourselves through, this earth vehicle in. And the earth is keeping the memory. The Akashic Records is what they call it. But, they put all these terms to it that make it so woo-woo to people that they don't get it. Like, the earth, the minerals keep records. And we know that because we use these little chips in our things for memory. Little tiny chips. Where do they come from? Those are from the earth. And people put intention into them to save it. They may have all this kind of computerized technology and words for it, but they put intention into that mineral. And that mineral can save memory, just like the whole earth. The world saves every bit of memory that there is. Rocks' memories are saved by rocks. They're already in it. It doesn't need much. It seems like a rock is dumb, but rocks have everything in them. What is the earth? A big rock with water on it. And the water helps the information come through. The grass helps the information be fed to the living things that move or have motion and move about. Like, it's actually really simple. But we were taught it the wrong way by people who couldn't figure it out. But they had power and they had status, so they had to have something to tell people. So they made up the best they could, or they hired people that could make up the best they could. And that's the truth about our history. Our history is made up from people who had more power than others, and now once people listened, they had to have something to say. I know I'm telling the truth because I was all those people, and I apologize for doing it all those times. And it's not Dan saying that. That's the problem, is that people only hear that and be like, listen to this guy. Like, I could care less. I don't care about history, but I'm all those people. Just like I don't care about what happened to me yesterday, because I'm here right now. And if I cared about what happened yesterday, it would take something away from this moment. And that's what people have to understand. It's not that you don't care, like, oh, yesterday's gone. Or, man, it was so fun yesterday, I wish it was that. No, because then it takes something away from this moment. And that's what people don't understand. It's not that you don't literally care. Like, when people say they don't care, most of the time they mean like they really don't want to have anything to do with it. And if it doesn't change, whoopee-doo. When I say I don't care, I mean I'm not going to let it tax on me in a stressful way. Because I love it so much, it's all right. That's not what other people usually mean. So I do have to clarify that. And that's what I mean by when I say I don't care. So I love so much. But I don't let anything put me in despair. I don't let anything get me down. It's just pointless. So that's it for now, guys. Peace.